It's time now for the Casey Ingram Show on WSTU. The opinions expressed are those of the program host and guest and not necessarily those of WSTU. WSTU does not endorse products that may be mentioned. Any reproduction or retransmission of this broadcast is strictly prohibited without written consent of WSTU. It's time to call in with your questions and comments at 220-9788, 220-WSTU. And now, here's Casey Ingram.
Good morning and a happy hump day here from Stuart. Beautiful day in the Treasure Coast once again, as always. And I have one of my favorite co-hosts in, Eric Miller, Talk About Martin, which I love to contribute to. And thank goodness you've put that website up because it's a important website and you're getting a lot of traction with it. A lot of people are following it. So
we're not always out there every day as things have been going, but I'll tell you the stories we are putting out there are big, and we're going to follow up on a couple of them today just to prove the point.
We've got a lot of things coming up. And before we get into that, though, I've got a shout out to my sponsors, Indiantown Marina, and as well as the Fish House Art Center. Make sure you visit both. But Indiantown Marina, we're still in hurricane season, although it looks like we're lucking out this year, hopefully, knock on wood, but it's not done yet. So you want to give those fine folks a call. Make sure that your vessel has safe storage if a hurricane should hit, or if you have some work to be done. They're a do-it-yourself or full-service boat yard, so they can do electrical, mechanical, prop shaft work, bottom painting, complete boat painting, boat sitting, and so much more. So you can give them a call at 772-631-3272. That's 631-3272. That's at Indiantown Marina. And also a huge shout out to the Fish House Art Center in Port Salerno. What a fun place to go out and visit. And, it's right here in town, and it's just a great little shop. It's a little unique to the area, I think. So a fun place I can't recommend enough. So check it out. If you're looking for something to do, go over to Port Salerno, Fish House Art Center, right there on the water. You can't miss it. Also, want to remind everybody, we had Jay Spicer in here from the Martin County Fair a couple weeks ago, and they have the Carnival of Lights coming up. They're looking for sponsors, so if you want to help sponsor this, they certainly would appreciate that. But it features music, crafters, food, rides, the Martin County Model Railroad Club, and so much more. And that runs November 26th through December 19th. It looks like on the weekends. So admission's just $5, and if you're 12 and under, it's free. But we're going to have something fun here in Martin County around Christmas time. So again, Carnival of Lights, and companies, if you want to sponsor this, they have all kind of sponsorship levels. Give Jay Spicer at Martin County Fair a jingle about that. And finally, forbearancers, working remotely, internet shopping, retail space, and rental income have been hit hard by COVID. If you're looking to restructure your debt, obtain financing or equity, Commercial Mortgage can help you out. Tim Mullen at Commercial Mortgage has been providing debt restructuring services since 2003. Tim never charges a front fee, and all consultations are free. Tim only gets paid if he provides you a debt workout. Looking for a debt solution or financing? Give Tim a call at 772-872-6099 or visit commercialmortgagellc.com to schedule your free consultation. Okay, Eric, I thank the sponsors, and I'm really excited. We've got a lot of great topics to cover. We're going to start out here with Indiantown, and a lot of things that have been happening here. Every month we're covering Indiantown as well as other things in Martin County, but there's a mound of things out there, isn't there?
A mound of things. Yes, there is. That was a softball pitch right there. I'll tell you what, one of the big ones right now is a discussion about a potential Indian mound in Indiantown. And we broke this story about a year and a half ago, even before the Planning and Zoning Board started talking about the potentiality of an Indian mound existing on a tract of property that was getting ready to be approved for land clearing and development for a Tractor Supply store to come in. And a little background on this. One of the neat things about Indiantown's not a real dark and terrible place. I mean, it'd be easy to make it sound that way, but it's not. There's a lot of lore and a lot of history in Indiantown, and it's unique in that it's an American village that has had generations of families, 5 generations of families plus that still have family that live in Indiantown and have known the same neighbors for 5 generations, their kids, their grandkids, their great-grandkids, and they've watched and they've known each other. And to exist in a community as small as that and to have to maintain these relationships makes for a very American way of life. And right now, Unfortunately, I think it's being torn apart by this necessity to grow that the village has brought about on itself. And everything changes in time, but it's sad to see Mayberry RFD, if you will, being torn apart. It's like Sim City in reverse that's taking place in Indiantown, and that's where a lot, I think, of the angst comes, if you will, politically in Indiantown, is that there are groups of people that want to see more amenity out there, because they have to go 30 minutes to get to a Walgreens or a CVS. Um, and if that's where you want to shop as big box store, they're doing a good job of attracting it in. But that comes back to Tractor Supply, which was really the first big development that was announced, approved, and is now underway. And this has been about a 2-year process for this taking place. And we wrote a story about um, a story that was told to us firsthand from one of those generational families that helped build the area. And this person actually is a Vietnam veteran, that served, and told us a story about how when he was a young boy, he was skipping school and was playing in the woods in that area. And he and two of his friends who have since passed witnessed what they saw as a burial of a person's
Mm.
body wrapped in swaddle, laid as like a mummy would into the mound and covered, and a ritual took place. And there is lore of a Seminole family, and a daughter that moved away back in the 40s, I believe it
Okay.
was 40s and 50s, but always said that she wanted to return to be buried with her family here. Um, and this is the story that was told. So when people started remembering this and knowing and putting two and two together, questions began to get asked. And when we started asking those questions, we ended up being the bad guys, because we were kind of barking, going, "Hey guys, over here, has anybody looked at this over here?" Well, as it turns out, we were accused of being anti-development, being against the developer, and just being, rebel rousers, which was not the case at all. And the developer agreed in the process to get a archaeologist to do a study on the plat to make sure that everything was fine. Well, we assumed that would mean that they'd be putting their boots on the ground and actually walking it. And the study that was shared with us, we'd been getting a lot of calls from people now that the demolition is starting on the property, and you can begin to see certain structures forming and mounds that are appearing out of the woods. And people going, "Wow, that's right where they said it should be." Miss Gibbs Thomas has been getting a lot of calls from people too, evidently, because we reached out to her when people were coming to us, and we said, "What's going on with this? Can you give us an update?" And she said a lot of people have been reaching out to her, so she was gracious enough to share some information with us. And that's the results of what the archaeological report came back with. And in 1958, actually, there was a report that showed that there were, or is, or was, I'm not sure how these archaeologists work, but a mound on that parcel. And the next study that was done, it showed there wasn't one there. But science, you know how perfect science is.
Right,
No
right.
one's ever wrong. It showed it there one year, but the next year it wasn't there. And so what are you going to do? It looks more like a referential archives kind of report, where they went through the archives for studies that they could find by credited archaeologists that have done seminal tracking in the area. And he put together a nice little copy and paste report and charged his client for it. And I highly doubt that his boots had been placed on the ground. So we're still kind of asking the question of, when you have one of these generational families that's lived there, and the lore is known by more than one person that has lived in that area for 40 or 50 years, and people are starting to put pieces together about who the family might actually be and who the lady might be. Why is it that just because some archaeologist says that there's no mound there, does it mean there's no mound?
And I think that there's
If
people
they,
that have seen some sort of mound as
people
well,
are
you
seeing
know?
formations there that are making them ask the question: have we done the proper due diligence for the sake of human life, the sanctity of life, in this process? So that's going on in Indiantown right now. Susan's asking more questions, and it's good to have a good American in office, and I hope Indiantown really realizes what they have
And it's good that you
in
have,
Susan.
a councilwoman, or a man, if it should be, but in this case, it's a councilwoman that are bringing up questions that matter to the community. That is the voice for the community. So, it's. I'm,
Yep.
I'm very glad that you do have at
Yep.
least one, and you mentioned, and she's been on the radio before, but Councilwoman Gibbs Thomas a lot that has at least brought up citizens' concerns.
Well, I have one more update, and Susan has indicated that she's going to request that of the developer, if it's okay with them, if an independent archaeologist can come and walk the site before much more demolition is due. They're doing tree cutting right now, and there are no land moving machines in there at this point. They're tree cutting, and mounds are starting to form where they're cutting down trees. I
Okay.
think it's a fair concern that there are people locally with certain agencies that have archaeological degrees that would love to get their boots on the
Right.
ground in something as historic as Indiantown. And I hope that Indiantown rises to its name and lives up to what it believes in and says it is, and preserves the Indiantown spirit that's out there.
Has
You know,
anybody been able to track? You said they mentioned the family and they think they know who it is. Has anybody been able to track the family or this woman? Perhaps she is still alive.
that's kind of I'm still putting those pieces together. I'm trying to stay with firsthand source and not hearsay,
Right.
but there's enough hearsay that's coming from different directions to put pieces of a puzzle together that are starting to connect.
Okay.
We'll see.
Absolutely.
We'll
Well,
see.
Eric, thank you for that update. We've talked about this in the past and we're going to continue to follow this. And, we can talk about this next month, see if there's any updates, see if an archaeologist has been hired.
Yeah, well, hired. I think that they're willing to volunteer their time to come out to do this, and they would be independent. They're drooling. I mean, can you imagine an archaeologist having the opportunity to walk
Oh my
what could be
goodness.
a discoverable seminal burial site? See, there's a potential because this girl said that she wanted to come back and be buried
Right.
where? With her family.
Family.
This could be more than one burial that's
Right.
out there. It could be a family burial
Plot.
site.
Mhm.
And I would really hate to see a bulldozer go through and disturb that.
Right.
I wouldn't want to be the driver,
No. No.
knowing one, I disturbed it, and two, oh crap, what do I do now? What do you mean
Right.
put it in the back of that dump truck? Nobody
Right.
wants to see that happen.
No, absolutely not. So what else is happening in Indiantown? I
Wow.
know you got a rodeo coming up.
There is a rodeo coming up on the 15th and 16th, and that's always a real good time out in Indiantown.
It is.
If you want to get out and have some just plain fun, come out for the rodeo.
100%.
Chamber does a great job on it, and they had to jump through hoops with Martin County, because Martin County kept the reins, so to speak, on the park out there.
Did
That's
they?
still county property, but it sits within inside the village's
I didn't realize
boundaries. Yeah,
that.
the county said we're not giving that one up. So you have to go to the county for a special events permit, and you got to fill out, yeah, I know if I leave the garbage out, and yeah, we'll contract to have the garbage picked up, and yes, we know, and parking this and liability this, and you fill out all the forms and you
Right.
do what they want you to do, and you go down and you give it to them, and 20 minutes later and $20 later, you have your event permit, and yay, now I'm permitted to have a rodeo. Woo! Government said so. Well, then all of a sudden you have to somehow, I guess, still go to the village.
Oh, really? So
That's
two
what I thought
entities.
too.
I've
Yeah.
never heard
So
of that
that's sort
before.
of like double taxation.
I'd say so.
It really it doesn't ring well. But actually it costs you $85 at the village.
So over 4 times as
Yeah,
much.
and there's a lot more work that you have to go through to get it. So yeah, that's it's been going on. Other people have been paying double fees. I'd love to see a list. I'd love for Howard and his staff to produce a list of people that actually, I think personally, should be rebated those fees.
Yeah, what authority do they have if the county is the one that is controlling that property?
Well, it's within our property boundaries, you see. So we can tax it, you see. Yeah, it's double
Something,
taxation.
right? It is double
It's
taxation.
crazy. Look, which brings me to another point. I think that the lawsuits against this government, and it goes back to Howard Brown again, he is not letting his counselors counsel or be the voice of the people. His finance director has turned in his resignation. His Parks and Recs director turned in their resignation. There is no one in leadership to speak of, or really working at the plant right now with any brain trust or knowledge at the municipal
There are
water
a lot of
plant.
issues with the water plant out there.
There's a lot of issues within Indiantown governmentally. I mean, that's why I wanted to kind of start the discussion about Indiantown on a better note, because there are real people in Indiantown, and what this government is doing is affecting that pioneer spirit. They're trying to big box store things in for a convenience purpose, and it's enough is enough. Enough is enough. They're actually talking about allowing a professional go-kart track to come in right up along the middle school, but it's private. It's only for testing go-karts. It won't have any commercial value other than that. So somebody with some deep pockets wants their son or daughter on a trust fund to have fun or something. I don't know. But
Race
anyway,
their go-karts around.
Yeah, racing go-karts on a private track. So
that's surprising to see these employees leaving. Do you know why, or?
No, and I would ask, have any exit interviews been done? And I don't think an exit interview through Howard or anyone else. If I was a council person in Indiantown, I would want to be doing exit interviews with these people. I'd want to know, why are you leaving? Is it that we're not paying you enough? Is it benefits? Are there conflicts? Is there something that we should know that ethically you might want to divulge to me on your way out the door?
Right.
I'm hoping that some of that is taking place. We'll see.
Hopefully it is, and it is important to know. That's certainly for sure. But there's been a lot of changes in Indiantown ever since it's become incorporated, and
there's been a lot of animosity in Indiantown
and division.
Yeah, it really teamed up and got very tribal, and now those that wanted it, that have it, and see it crumbling, I think, are becoming very defensive. Nobody wants to end up on the losing end of the stick, but we're all neighbors in the end.
Folks, again, we're speaking with Eric Miller with Talk About Martin. If you can go to talkaboutmartin.org. Com. I knew it was one or the other.
Yep,
talkaboutmartin.com. And there's a lot of information there about Indiantown, but it's also about Martin County in general. And Eric, you're always looking for contributors around the county to help contribute information, whether it's from the city of Stewart, Sewell's Point, what have you. Information around the county is needed. And as a matter of fact, next week, Dr. Millay will be in the studio with the Martin County schools. He is the superintendent. He's been in place for almost a year now. So that's another issue that you like to cover, and it's great to have contributors from. It's one of the largest employers in the area. So
exactly. Yeah, if there's something you think that the rest of Martin County should know, let us know. And, I've got a big mouth. I'll let everyone know.
Well, speaking of that, Eric, Diane Lewis says, Eric, put in a good work about our sale November 6th.
Oh, that's right. Well, the shameless plug, the Indiantown Veterans Association will be having a garage/flea/craft sale. And if you have some things you'd like to barter, or some livestock you want to sell, bring a poster. Where you have spots available, and this is going to be a new dry run for us to see what kind of success we get on doing this, maybe on a quarterly basis, to have an opportunity to raise some funds for the potlucks.
Oh, that's wonderful. You've been doing a lot of really good work for the Veterans Association out there.
Appreciate you saying so.
There's been a lot of work that's been done, and including the building, right?
Yep.
A place to go, a place to congregate.
A post to replace that was torn down by the tornado 11 years ago. And we're getting closer, and we're going to make it happen.
So, folks, we're going to continue here with the show. But if you have a question or comment, I'm watching Facebook live feed, and also call in at 772-220-WSTU. That's 220-9788. We'd love to hear from you. So many things are going on here. Do you have any other county-related information?
What about these garbage trucks?
Oh,
Can we back up on this?
Waste management.
Back up for a minute.
Y'all have your new bins out there, right?
Oh, God, let's not even. We can finish with that one, because you'll need me to stop talking at that point. But the question I have, we had a couple shows back that you and I did. There was mention of an initial RFP conflict that was kind of taking place, that everyone was jabbering about, and knew that the garbage trucks were going to have to be changed to this natural gas engine now. Am I hearing that correct? I haven't been able to find the source document. So if that's correct,
Yes, that was mentioned in a county meeting. I think it was the end of August, and I don't have the name in front of me right now, but yes, they did mention that that was one of the requirements was for Waste Management to be natural gas to convert their trucks over.
so then my question is, where did that requirement come from? Did Doug Smith and Sarah Hurd get together at Dunkin' Donuts and come up with the idea to put natural gas engines in the garbage trucks? I would say, by golly, not a fat chance in Hades that would have happened.
Right.
So where does it come from?
Good question.
These things come from the grants that we as a municipality or as a county accept from either the state or from the federal government. A lot of the federal government grants that we take from places like the EPA, because they're just throwing money at counties, have these little hooks and barbs in them that at some point they're going to get their pound of flesh back out of you. And that is because they are all on a track of something called sustainable development, of which Martin County is an award-winning county within Florida for sustainable development. Sounds really great, doesn't it?
Sounds
sustainable.
Great. Right.
Well, yeah, it's sustainable if you like Greta Thunberg and the rest of the climatologists that are out there telling you that you have to do this and you have to do that because the world's going to come to an end. Sustainable development's about control. And one of the things that's in sustainable development, like you're hearing about no gas engines by 2030 and Biden's Build Back Better plan.
Yes.
Come on, guys. This is all the big plan of sustainable development that's in writing, that's been around since the 1990s and has been implemented at a federal and global level. And now these hooks are coming back in, and they say to the county, well, if you're going to take this money to better your roads, you got to better the environment, partner. No more gas garbage trucks by 2030. Well, we're way ahead of the curve. So what do? We go to natural gas, right? Oh, well, what can that hurt? I mean, by golly, natural gas prices, the natural gas futures on a monthly level year over year are up 185% this year alone. And the 1 year futures forecast is sitting at $585. Okay.
Who do you think is going to pay for that?
To $5 per BTU. For every BTU British thermal unit built, that's $5.
You have a graph. Hold it up to the camera if you would, just for folks on Facebook that can see.
If you want to play the commodities futures, get into natural gas and propane. Okay, but
yeah, great investment.
The point,
exactly,
the point is, if you're gonna take something that doesn't have the supply line did I say supply line?
Did.
Supply line capabilities like gasoline and the distribution capabilities like gasoline, and you're going to make more people use it and use more of it. It's going to create a scarcity, which is going to create a price increase.
That's right.
But you see, this is saving the environment. And by taking that grant for that road, for the road and sewer improvements, like the residents in Sewell's Point are screaming about, stop taking the grants and stop raising our millage rates. Right.
Right.
But
that's right.
Who would profit from things like natural gas increases? Maybe Nancy Pelosi or Brian Mast on some insider trading tricks. But, the sustainable development gig is here in Martin County, folks. And when you start checking all those things off your bingo card going, oh, yeah, supplies, this is up, that's up, food's up. What more do you need to see that what's going on around you is not happening just here? It's happening equally at a global level. Time to take the blinders off. And I'm not going to give you my opinion on what I think is happening. You just have to look at what's happening and make up your own mind on what you think could be going on.
No, I'm glad you brought this issue up, Eric, because a lot of folks are just upset about the larger containers, and they brought up some points before, especially for older folks. You have larger boxes; it's hard for them, arthritis, what have you, to break them down. They don't fit in that container now; it does not get picked up. Where before they were able to. So now,
get loaded this. Plus, they only pick up on one side of the road out what we're doing. You have to push your container if you're not on the proper side of the road to the other side of the road,
because the arm's only on one side of the truck.
And if you have a driveway and you live on 5 acres of land and you don't have a asphalt or concrete driveway with the slope to it that you can take this thing down to the curb with, you have to drag this 2-wheeled dolly that's as big as a small person and filled with cans and beer bottles and jangle that thing all the way down to the end of the driveway, 150 feet or more yards to get it to the street. No, it isn't happening. I'm not recycling anymore. I'm putting mine in the trash bags, and you can throw it in the dump with the rest of it. I'm not putting up with this. This is ridiculous. They can take their can and take it wherever they want and do with it what they will.
Take that can
anymore.
And Eric, all kidding aside,
I'm not kidding.
You're not. I've heard other people say the same thing. If it's not fitting in there, I'm just going to go in the trash with it. So we've kind of defeated the purpose of recycling if we can't pick it up if it doesn't fit in the tote.
But we have liability issues with the insurance companies that deal with this, and it's better, it's safer, less employees. Not like we have enough people that aren't working already, where we had 4.2 more million people just leave the job market.
Yeah.
Okay, that's why unemployment numbers are, as I say, low. Yeah, you just keep shrinking the pool of people that are willing to work, and your statistics can be whatever you want. People aren't even in the job market anymore. They're getting kicked out of it. They can't live in the job market.
It's true. There are so many jobs that are being eliminated right now. And, some of the folks, I watched some of the comments about the recycling issue because it's been a big change here all of a sudden for folks. They got an increase in their bill for waste management. And now the big container that they didn't feel they had a choice in,
Well,
and they're watching some of the communities. The men are still on the back of the trucks trying to hoist these big buckets up now, and they can't pick them up. They're so big, and they're like, do they realize in a few weeks they're not even going to have a job? So when the new truck comes in for that particular neighborhood.
Yeah, but see, these are the outcomes of things like sustainable development and taking grants from the federal government. And kudos to the people in Sewell's Point that are yelling at, and to James Campo for voting against the increase, because it's including grants and it's including all sorts of things that these people said, no, you put it to a referendum. If you want to spend that kind of money, you bring it to the people and let the people vote on it. You guys just keep our basic services running, which is the way a small government is supposed to run, and leave the rest of it to us. You want to spend $3-4 million and raise our taxes, you come and ask us, put it to referendum.
Wouldn't it be nice if we could actually have a referendum and that the voters, the taxpayers, actually decide if we're going to have these increases or not and what we're going to pay for?
It would be if you had enough people that would actually take the gumption to get out and actually vote on it. The problem is you end up being led around by the minority. At least they're the minority that are responsible that are voting.
Right.
At this point, but it's going to have to come to a point where people are going to have to take responsibility for their own, their own outcomes and hold their elected accountable.
You do. And again, you just have to become involved. For example, the Martin County Board of County Commissioners televises their meetings, and you don't have to be there live. You can watch it a week later. It's all archived. I can watch last year's meetings if I want to. So, there's an agenda there. You can go just to the agenda item. You don't even have to watch the whole meeting. But if there's something there of importance, I just encourage everybody. It's MCTV. You can go to the Martin County Board of County Commissioners. You go to their website, you'll see it, MCTV.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have all those commission meetings. And often the City of Stewart has their commission meetings online now. I don't believe Sewell's Point does. I could be wrong.
The Village does.
Indiantown does. That's right. Yep. So, not being able to attend the meeting, it's okay. You can still get involved. And so important. These changes are made and people don't realize it till after it's already voted and done.
Yeah, at least listen to them talk. They're
That's right.
talking on your behalf. At least listen to what they're saying for you.
That's right.
See if what they're saying is what you want them to say, and see if their staff is actually doing what it needs to be done the way that it should be done. I mean, this is it's out of control.
It is out of control. And just in the middle of the show here, I want to reach out again and thank Indiantown Marina and Fish House Art Center for their sponsorship. Encourage everybody, to visit the Fish House Art Center in Port Salerno. Really fun place. It's right on the water. And snowbirds are returning and looking for things to do. That's a little fun shop. And, buy local, buy local. And of course, Indiantown Marina, if you need anything done on your boat, you got to call Indiantown Marina. They can help you out. Not only are they do-it-yourself boat yard, but you also have full service work out there. So right now, it's hard to get your boat service. It takes time. I mean, everything seems to be up in the air. We're going to talk about that in a little bit, but you can go out to Indiantown and get your work done. And you can reach those good folks at 772-631-3272. And also commercial mortgage. If you're looking for a debt solution or financing, you want to refinance, Tim Mullen at Commercial Mortgage is your man. He never charges a fee up front. And matter of fact, he only gets paid if he gets your debt refinanced or gets you new financing. So free consultation, no reason not to at least give him a call and see if he can help you out. He won't take your case if he can't help you out. He'll point you in the right direction. And you can reach Tim at 772-872-6099. That's 872-6099. Look him up at commercialmortgagellc.com. And also remind everybody the Carnival of Lights is coming at the Martin County Fair. This is going to be a lot of fun, folks. It's November 26th and 28th. From 5:30 to 9, December 2 through 5th, December 9th through the 12th, and December 16th through the 19th. And all of those go from 5:30 to 9 at the fairgrounds, just $5 admission. And it's put you in the holiday spirit. We need that,
Ho,
so much
ho,
going
ho.
on. Ho, ho, ho. Boy, oh boy, Eric.
Stick around for another half hour. You'll be ready for Halloween. We'll scare it out of you.
Yeah, that is coming. I'm rushing Christmas here, aren't I? Halloween is coming up. So, there's something else going on, folks. I don't know. It's kind of surprised me here in the last couple of weeks. And that is I'm going to clothing stores. I'm going to grocery stores. And we mentioned it actually. I think Talk About Martin was one of the first to share that Martin County School District was having issues with even their lunches, food supply chain. Going to the store, it's just weird things that you wouldn't expect to be out of stock, and they are. And there's a little sign everywhere that says, sorry, due to supply challenges, we don't have this product. And, it's like, what is going on? And, one of the things is they're calling it Container-geddon out in California. There's around 60 to 80 ships that are lined up off of Long Beach in LA. And, the ships are here. They're trying to bring the goods into the country, but they can't offload them. They just cannot offload them. A lot of different issues going on here.
Can they?
Yeah, you can.
They can't.
They can't.
Why?
Well, there's a couple reasons here. One of them is that they have something called AB5 in California, and it prohibits non-union owner-operators of semi-trucks to work in California anymore.
Welcome to Gavin Newsom's world, where in 2 years you'll have to use battery-operated landscape equipment. You can no longer use gasoline-powered in California, and the stores are not allowed to sell gasoline-powered mowers or landscape
And I
equipment
do believe they
anymore.
want their trucks upgraded as well.
And they want their trucks upgraded as well. This is all part of the new Great Reset, the Build Back Better that you hear the Brandon go Brandon, let's go Brandon. You hear the Brandon administration that keeps talking about the Biden administration that keeps talking about the Build Back Better plan, and this is all part of sustainable development. Sustainable development is a roadmap to global consistency, and I think what we're seeing here is global inconsistency. I don't buy the labor aspect of it completely. I think that it may be what's causing it in appearance sakes here. And it may be the tool that they're using to cause it, but you can't tell me it's labor when the same thing is happening in a nation of 1 billion people in China, and their ports are backing up as poorly as ours. And now they're saying that their issue is that it's a power issue, that they're having electrical issues that are keeping them from offloading everything. they've have more coal burning power plants than the rest of the world, and they've just taken their coal supply away from Australia and told them to go pound sand because you took the subs, and they've switched over to Mongolia now, and soon, and their coal plants are starting to come back online. So we'll see how much of it's actually power related. It's not labor with the people of see the whole, and then you get into other ports around the world. Our ports and China's ports aren't the only ones that are backing up. There are nations around the world. In Europe, what is the problem in Europe? What where did all the people go all of the sudden? Are they still on COVID lockdown like in Australia? I mean, there's a
You have
lot
to
there.
wonder, I know.
Yeah, there's a lot of chips I'm putting on my bingo card right now and filling some spaces in. I mean, it's getting crazy out there.
There are a lot of issues, Eric. I think one thing that frustrates me is what makes United States so wonderful, so awesome. There's many things, but one thing is we should be self-sustainable, and we have
Yeah.
made ourselves so dependent
I hope
on
everybody's
the
seeing
rest
it.
of the world.
Bingo.
Here we are now. I'm going to go into Containergeddon here just a little
Yeah,
bit more and
go on.
spew off some facts if you don't mind.
Sorry.
No. I'd like to hear what you say. That's why you're here. But the Long Beach port is 36% of all U.S. imports are unloaded there. And Steve Ferreira, he's of Ocean Audit. He's one of the shippers. He said, quote, "I don't think anyone's ever seen anything like this in their careers, anyone who's alive." He said that his family's been in this for decades, and they're calling it Containergeddon. 90% of the world's global trade is shipped by seas. 90%, with 70% of that in containers. Over the past two decades, a number of trends have shaped business here in the U.S. First, when it comes to the U.S., we have been increasing our outsourcing and reliance on imported goods. In January 1985, when God bless him, Reagan was president, and I miss President Reagan. But in 85, we imported $293 million of goods from China. Today, in August, China is nearly $43 billion of imports. 293 million in 85 to $43 billion today. That's up 146-fold in 36 years. And our imports from Asia across the border are up. China's number one exporting nation to the U.S., but Japan, South Korea, and Vietnam are also on the top 10 list. Where are the majority of their imports coming in? California. What is also interesting, folks, is this going to impact you not just having shortages on the shelves, but with cost. And we're talking about, everybody hears the inflation word. Companies like Walmart, Costco, Home Depot, and others have responded to chartering their own ships. But for how much? One of America's largest big box retailers just chartered a cargo ship for $80,000 a day for 1 year. $80,000 a day for 1 year. A year ago, that would have cost $10,000 to $15,000 a day. Getting this information, folks, from Andrew Sewer and Max Zahn. They write for Yahoo Finance. Also brought up an example, one of Japan's, Soga Shosha, or Giant Holding Companies, is looking to charter a ship for $130,000 a day for 3 years, which would have been $20,000 a day a year ago. The company will have put up $35 million for the first 9 months in cash on day one. So, of course, we're going to have higher price goods. Of course, inflation is coming, and it's real. It's real inflation that's going to stick around for years. It's not going to be transitory. And,
Build back better.
One of the other
Let's
issues.
go, Brandon.
Yep. This is what's coming, folks. And even Kamala, you mentioned this a couple months ago, but Vice President Harris said she warned when she was in Singapore, quote, "If you want to have Christmas toys for your children, now might be the time to start buying them, because the delay may be many, many months." And another issue is they talked about with these ships, there's 200 countries with 200 different protocol rules when it comes to COVID. So it's just a big cluster out there.
Well, the reliance portion of this is a national security risk to begin with. And I think we're far past that. I was screaming national security back in the 90s as it started to balloon out.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And NAFTA, we've been sold down a river, believe it or not. And we're not too big to fail. And I think we're starting to see the beginnings of failure right in our face, with the signs that you're seeing, and sizes not being available, and healthcare not being what it should be, and the rationing of this. They're rationing gas now in Britain. everything has its own reasons. The thing is, though, it's all happening globally and at the same time. So you really have to ask yourself why. Um, what's the thread that ties all of these things together? And everybody needs to search for their own answer to see what they think that is. But there are too many coincidences taking place for it to be anomaly
It
at this
is.
point.
It is. There's a reporter that asked on Twitter today, has over 300,000 followers. I don't remember her name. And she asked, what are you seeing short in your area? What is you're not finding on your shelves? I mean, it went from cat food to makeup to soda to chips. And, Eric, I took a vacation earlier this summer up to North Carolina, and the local store there, just a local name brand, wasn't part of a big chain like Publix or Kroger's. And the shelves were empty and a lot of the food was old. And I thought, boy, I wonder if this is because it's kind of out in the sticks a little bit. And, here a couple months later, we're starting to see it right here, right at Publix. I mean, I've been to Publix and food's fresh, but there's shortages.
Well,
there
we
are
shop
shortages.
at Sam's Club for a lot of our supplies for the potlucks that we do for the IVA. And I have never, in the years that I've been shopping up there to get things, been able to look from one side of the aisle to the other and see down across other aisles on the bottom shelf. They're just usually, that's why they call them big box store. They're a big box, and they got big boxes on all the shelves. Things are thinning out, and
you don't know what it's going to be. You can't predict. And Ray, our great engineer here behind the scenes, that if you're on YouTube, you see the side of his head, or there he is, or his hat. But he just said you can't find Gatorade and a double shot of coffee at Starbucks.
Wow.
Yeah, that's absolutely right. Certain types of Gatorade, you can't find the double shot mocha. I'm looking for that. The vanilla, whatever. It's empty. Go to Walgreens. Empty. Okay.
And it's all empty.
And a lot of the Gatorades, they spread them out over several different shelves because they don't have stock.
It's crazy.
That's just small stuff right there.
It is. It is.
Well, let's add one to this. The largest rail hub in the United States is in Chicago, Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
They're reporting 25-mile plus lines of trains waiting to get in, to either get rerouted to go somewhere to deliver what they've gotten from trucks, or to offload onto other rail lines. The distribution hub itself is choked. Are we really spending that much that we're buying so much that we're consuming it so fast that we can't get it here fast enough?
No, I don't think it's that. I don't think we're getting it here to answer
demand. Did COVID
demand.
cause a vortex and we didn't turn the system back up in time because we shut it down? But no, wait a minute. Home Depot could stay open, but the little Ace Hardwares had to close, and the truckers could continue to truck for the big trucking, but the independents had to stop. And the big restaurant, no, I think that the wheels are turning. Wheels are turning just fine, and they've kind of blown out, and they're grinding a lot of small people in between. The small business owners in America are getting screwed through all of this.
Well,
whatever this is, America is getting the shaft.
Do you think that, so Walmart, Costco, Home Depot are going to charter their own cargo ships at $80,000 a day? How many small businesses do you think can do that?
Well, I think that there are small businesses out there that are going to be the heroes if possible. We have to return, like you said, back to America. You want to build back better? Let's bring back American manufacturing. But we can't do that because all of our resources that we use for manufacturing are still coming from overseas in the degree of 80 to 90% for most of the raw materials that we need to manufacture anything. Same with our pharmaceuticals, folks. If you have a prescription box that you take your pills in every day, I hope you have a plan for what you're going to do when those supply lines get cut off, because over 80% of the pharmaceutical that are taken within our system in America, our people, come from
China.
The Great Red Wall.
Yep, China.
Not only are they exporting the Wu flu, they're also controlling the drugs that you're going to get.
That was shocking. We found that out through COVID, that most of our prescriptions do come from China.
Yeah, it's been a rude awakening, and we've said it for a long time, Casey. You've heard me say it before. It's going to take a rude awakening for people to wake up. It's like an alcoholic. You don't wake up until you hit rock bottom, and hopefully you don't hit too hard when you hit. But America's about there. Our alcoholic days are over, folks. The partying in the roaring 20s, as as you're thinking of them, it isn't gonna it isn't gonna work. We're in trouble.
Alicia, you have an excellent question here on Facebook. How many major shipping ports around the world has China purchased over the years? China wants to control the supply chain to bring down our economy. She's absolutely right. China has purchased a lot of ports, and I can't answer that question on air because I don't
China
know.
has a 100-year plan, and their 100-year plan is world domination. And they will take 100 years to get there, just like the progressives have taken 100 years to get to where they're at in America, in control. And China is in control of a lot of things. And they are buying up American farmland. They're buying up American infrastructure, and we're letting them do it. And it's past a point of national security at this point. They're manufacturing the chips that we put into all of our devices. We're now reaccepting drones that are being military drones that are being manufactured in China for our armed forces to use to protect us from potential foe like China. So we're letting our enemy, and make no mistake, China is your enemy. You're letting your enemy build your munitions electronically. Think there's no kill switch in that? You're out of your mind. Out of your mind, people. But to Alicia's question, yeah, they're buying it all up.
They are. And farmland too. There's another
farmland.
Area that China's consuming and purchasing here in the United States of America. And, you know, another thing that absolutely drives me crazy personally is a lot of our manufacturing companies went over to China over a decade ago. They were starting to move plants. And guess what they did? They took all our engineering over there. Anything that was, private to those companies, in order to bring their companies there, China said, we have to look at all your blueprints. We have to know how it's made. Well, we showed them how to make our products. We just handed them the blueprints.
You have to.
You have to, or they won't let you in.
You have to, or there's
but we didn't have to go
proprietary.
there, but they
Right.
did. You know, and our country was encouraging it. That's why they did. Is for it was cheaper to manufacture it, ship it back to America than it was just to build it here, and we lost jobs in the process, and now we're reliant.
Well, and now these corporations are bigger than some governments.
They are.
Okay.
They are.
And they have
Like
more power
Amazon,
than
you
the
mean?
government. Yeah.
It's very, very large, very
Amazon,
large, very powerful.
Look at the power that Facebook actually uses.
Facebook, that's exactly right.
A lot of the tech companies that are Google. I mean, let's say the spooky word, Google.
Well, speaking of Google, folks, in a couple weeks, not next week, but the week after, I'm going to have Robert Restino in. He is a real patriot that throughout COVID, he became very concerned as he was researching things on the internet through Google, and found that he wasn't able to get the actual facts about COVID through Google. So he has went through and he's found other uncensored browsers and search engines on the internet. And he's going to come into the studio and share those with us, so that if you're browsing on the internet, you can do so without somebody tracking you.
That'll be a good interview. That should be a real good
I'm looking
interview.
forward to, because don't you find it seems odd? You talk to somebody about something, or you might Google it or text it, and all of a sudden there it is popping up on your screen.
That's where I cut my teeth. Was I'm one of the guys that started the PC revolution, so to speak. I was one of the people that was there as the graphics were first coming out and the programs were being written, and the internet was you could see this coming a mile away. And the problem that exists with the internet is government right now and Facebook wanting to be regulated. The last thing we need to do is to begin to regulate companies, because that just bonds them to it. It nationalizes an industry and gives them the open carte blanche to, we'll do whatever you want us to do. And nobody else can ever come in and meet those goals. So now Facebook becomes the de facto social media. It's sickening what's happening. We're being sold down the river.
We are, folks. And, we wanted to get into an update on insider trading. I don't think we're going to get to it today, but I will get back to that. If you go to my Twitter account on the Casey Ingram Show, I've been retweeting a lot of insider trader information. There's a a guy I follow. He calls himself Unusual Whales, but he follows a lot of the stock trading of Congress. And he's going through this morning. He said, I'm on a tear this morning. I'm going to identify a lot of these congressmen and women that are performing insider trades. And folks, even the head of the Federal Reserve Bank, the heads, 3 of them were caught with real quick here, just
that was bad.
So what could be called insider trading, and they did it right ahead of COVID. 2 of them have stepped down because of it. But I want to go into insider trading more. We're running out of time, but I'm going to leave you with one quote, and that's Fed Chair Jerome Powell said during a congressional hearing just last week that the trades made by Rosengren and Kaplan seem to be, quote, in compliance with the existing rules, quote. They seem to be in compliance with the existing rules. And he said, quote, that tells you the problem is that the rules and the practices and the disclosure needs to be improved. And that's what we're working on. And that does need to be improved because this is going on. They're unabashed in Congress. I mean, Nancy Pelosi is a star. Congressman Mast is also insider trading. Lois Frankel, she's doing quite well down in West Palm Beach with the inside trades. And I call them inside trades because they're writing the legislation that affects companies, that affects industries, and then they trade their stocks accordingly, folks. We don't have this information until afterwards. They have it before. So that's a topic for another show. But again, coming up next week, I'm going to have Superintendent Millay from Martin County School District and Robert Restino at the end of the month. That's going to be a really good interview, folks. If you want to be on the internet and you're searching, and maybe you don't want to use Google and Yahoo anymore after you hear this show. So, and he'll have some very good information. Eric, we have a couple minutes here, and I want to run back to Build Back Better, Biden's plan. Folks, it's over 2,400 pages. Please look at this plan. How about, what's in this plan, Build Back? They want sustainability, of course, but they want the IRS to be able to look at anybody's account who has over a $600 transaction in it.
Yeah, but you know who else is saying Build Back Better?
Who?
Trudeau in Canada.
Interesting.
You know who else?
He's
Johnson in the UK. You know who else? Everybody around the world in most of the developed nations is on this World Economic Forum's idea of resetting and rethinking the way that we govern and live. And they say it in their own words. And the Build Back Better slogan is their slogan. The world leaders meet, the world money meets, the world corporations meet. They come up with a plan, and you will like it. You will own nothing, and you will like it. We're going to give you a digital currency with a basic monthly income, and you can spend it at all the wonderful retail places that you can't get anything.
Well, digital currency is a little interesting, like cryptocurrency, for instance. It's driving the government crazy right now because they're not regulating it. They'll figure a way to do it.
There's no way to
but they
regulate
can't
the
control it.
cryptocurrency. I'm sorry, you can't
They're gonna
regulate
try.
it. As long as I have my hashtags, you can't have my Bitcoin.
I like that. No hashtag, no Bitcoin. So,
Yeah.
folks, a lot of good topics here that we touched on. And, please, again, tune in next week for the next couple shows. But check out that Build Back Better. Again, I just touched on it, but $600, and the IRS can look,
The
the
reading
government can
room on
look at your bank accounts.
talkaboutmartin.com has links that'll take you to every bit of it and explain it to you.
All right. So there we go. Talk about Martin, martin.com. We're going to have this show there as well as on YouTube. Folks, hope you tune in next week. See you then.